is Chubby.
And I'm Vanessa, and welcome to No
No
Filters, No
filters, no
Fears
fears
podcast.
podcast. Today's episode Elephant 4. We're going to talk about breast cancer awareness. So, as you know, in October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. National Breast Cancer Awareness Month was founded in 1985 in October as a partnership between the American Cancer Society and the Pharmaceutical Division of Imperial Chemical Industries, now known part of AstraZeneca. Am I pronouncing that right?
AstraZeneca. Yeah.
Yeah. National Breast Cancer Awareness Month from the start has been to promote mammography. I can never pronounce the word correctly. You
Mammography. Can't say it
mammography.
either. Mammography.
Okay, the most effective weapon in the
Mammography.
fight against breast cancer. In 1993, Evelyn Lauder, senior corporate vice president of the Estee Lauder Companies, founded the Breast Cancer Research Foundation and established the pink ribbon as a symbol. Though this was not the first time the ribbon was used to symbolize breast cancer. A 60-year-old California woman named Charlotte Haley, whose sister, daughter, and granddaughter had breast cancer, had distributed peach colored ribbons to call attention to what she perceived as an inadequate funding for research. In the fall of 1991, the Susan G. Komen Foundation had handed out pink ribbons to participants in the New York City race for breast cancer survivors. So that is a little bit of a history of where breast cancer came from. It has personal stories about it. So, as most of you know, my mom died of breast cancer 8 years
We
ago.
do.
So that was tough, And also, like we were talking about earlier, having to check ourselves too. I already had a scare 4 years ago. They found ¿cómo se dice eso? Like a little lump, but it
Lump.
wasn't cancerous. So thank God for that, right?
Yeah. I don't mind sharing. Like recently, so Vanessa's turning 35. With getting older come new health things that we never considered or thought of. And it doesn't matter how healthy you've been, how much you exercise, there's still certain precautions that you should take as preventative measures as you get older, just to keep track of the changes in your bodies. Our hormones change, right? And Chubi and I were talking about this just before we went live. The food that we ingest, the way it's created, has changed significantly from the early
Mhm.
1900s till now. And there's deficiencies in vitamins and all these things that affect our system. So as of late, because I have a lot of cancer history, my mom is a cancer survivor, not breast cancer, but lymphatic cancer. So which the breast cancer recently, as preventative measures, my doctors have told me to do a cancer screening and things like that, and looking deeper into the cancer history in my family, which I'm sure you've had to go through as well because you have it in your family. So it's things to look out for. And I'm turning 35 now, and typically they tell you not to test, and I'll read some of this later, until you're in your 40s. But if you have a long family history of any kind of cancer, but specifically breast cancer in your immediate family, then it's a good idea to get tested even before, like get a mammogram even before. It is not a fun test. It
No,
is the cacaest of tests. They squish your data.
I know. Is there another way for them to advance that? Because
I wish that there freaking was, because it is, for any males watching, it's like they're squeezing your testes. Not pleasant.
mm,
So they're squeezing, but it's the only way of getting deep pictures of the tissue, because there's so
yeah,
many fibrous and fatty tissue in the breast, uh, that it's difficult. And if you're an athlete, a lot of that becomes compacted muscle, so it's even harder to take images of it. So
yeah.
it's just smart to keep track of these kinds of things. So I'm gonna tennis ball it back to you.
No, yeah. I also had to take care of that. Like I said, I was like what 28 when I got that cancer scare. So I had to check, but I've been it's been ongoing since I was 21 as well. My aunt had it, and both sides of the family. My mom, my sister. So it's like it's tough, but you have to do it,
You do.
and
And I
and
mean,
no matter, like you
and
said. Mhm.
you said you had to do this at 28, right?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
at 28 they removed. I had a mini surgery. They removed the little bolita, you know,
To avoid it ever
and
becoming it's to from
yeah, because
being
they say it
malignant.
wasn't cancerous. So, but this is the problem. It wasn't on the breast. It was on the, is it called a fallopian tube? Whatever it's called on your insides. I don't know what it's called.
Oh,
Tu-
so
tu-
it was in
co-
your fallopian tubes are in your and by your
Exactamente.
hoo-ha.
Exactamente. So they found something, and that's what my sister also had too. So that's what they found, but hers was cancerous, well, mine was not. Pero era una cosita así, and then we got a mini
Oh
surgery
wow.
done, but they were able to get rid of it just to prevent, because tú nunca sabe. But it was scary because
Preempted.
you never know. And it started hurting, so the pain, and
Yeah.
so you never know what the hell could be.
That's never good.
No,
Yeah.
definitely
I
not. It's
mean, and
scary.
it's good to know what certain symptoms can be and what they look like at different ages. Because even though it is rare, children can get breast cancer, right? You have breast tissue already, developing breast tissue. And depending on any hormonal imbalances, if a child has a hormonal imbalance, for example, I know that the possibility for breast cancer amongst men with gynecomastia, which means that they have more breast tissue than other men that might have a flatter chest. These kinds of things are important to look out for because even in their teen years, if there is an overproduction of a particular hormone, it can throw everything off and cause that possibility. So it's important to know what the symptoms are, what to look out for, and to keep an eye on it. Because even though we say, it's rare, it's 1,000%,
You never know.
just
Yeah.
you looked at it, you know it's not, move on.
That's what I was just about to ask you or tell you. Like, men think it's only a women related or female presenting issue, and it's actually not. It's everybody with boobies, anybody with the chest area, anybody, humans.
We forget because we give this like that, the whole free the nipple campaign. I'm about
Yeah,
it. Free the nip. We have sexualized the female breast so much because of the difference in sizes that we
right.
forget that even though men for the most part have a flatter chest and it's not protruding, they don't have to wear bras and all that. They have nipples too, just like us.
Exactly. Areolas are
They have
cis, they're
breast
there.
tissue. So the disparity in how they're seen is obnoxious. But the fact is that they both go through the same thing medically, should it present itself. And it's something like one in like 200 something or 500 something men that could potentially get it versus 1 in 8 women. 1 in 8 women. So it's a
Yeah,
lot higher the possibility for women to get breast cancer, but it's not unlikely for men to do so, especially men. And I say this for my trans siblings. Keep a lookout, right? Especially when you start, uh, for example, transitioning male to female, when you start getting the hormone
oh yeah,
therapies,
therapy.
there's the possibility for those kinds of things to happen. And top surgery is really difficult as it is. There's so much
Yeah,
risk for infection. And the biggest risk and fear in top surgery for trans women is that infection. Because depending on that is whether you can retain your nipple or not. And that same thing is true, in fact, for women who undergo mastectomies due to breast cancer. They are sometimes able to save the nipple and sometimes not.
sometimes no.
And that's really difficult. And there's so much that goes mentally into what breast mean to women
Right.
culturally, in your own dynamic, what being a woman means to you. Everybody, it means a different thing to every person. But
Yeah.
mentally, it also takes its strain on you of what is it going to look like, what is it going to feel like. Then you consider your partners, how it's going to look like to someone you have to be intimate with. How does it affect how you kind of like te desenvuelves, you allow yourself to give
Yeah.
in. So it's a lot. And I think that those who are survivors are definitely warriors, because when you come out on the other side of it, what the hell would you not call yourself a survivor, a warrior? This
Yeah.
takes a toll on your body, on your mind, on your
Mentally and
soul.
and like you said, society, everybody, everything has they have their own way of like, oh, it doesn't have any nipples or areolas or whatever. It's not a breast anymore, and we need to end that stigma. Like, no, breasts are breasts, whether they have it or not, and obviously it's easier said than done because
Right.
but
The same process that to place that thought, it takes to erase it. But same thing with like the stigma with menopause. You don't
mm,
have your period anymore, or your sexual drive dips, are, and you can't no longer have children. Are you a woman anymore? How is that even an argument? But
right,
that's what that pressure that gets placed on women. And it's like not just your breast. If you do chemo and you lose your hair, now you have that added factor of more of your appearance that made you
right.
feel confident. I cannot imagine what that feels like.
I do know some women who have menopause and they're living their best life. They're like, what? I don't
True.
get pregnant. I don't have to do this. And
Bye.
Gabalan, just everywhere. Just, yep. With whoever, whatever they could do, they feel free. It's like
Yeah.
to them was a freedom type thing. And that's beautiful to see instead of like, I'm sorry, but if I I don't want my period. So I'm like, okay, but I don't want menopause either. So estamos en el
Yeah.
medio. You know what I'm saying? But to
Yeah.
them, it
Yeah.
was just
Yeah.
freeing. So I like that. I like hearing or seeing, having examples of
Of them taking their
that
power.
stigma. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it feels nice to them. Like, hija, no te preocupes de que el menopause or whatever. Let's go. And I'm like, okay, well, have fun. And that's beautiful to see. So yeah,
Yeah.
not
I'm
everybody
always really
let
grateful.
society.
We're
hmm
what? What were you
I
saying?
said not everybody lets society, take them down. So
Right. Yeah. It's good. And I'm always really grateful to this woman, Maria Flores from New World School of the Arts. She started this kind of, and I don't know if it's still going on, but for about 2 or 3 years, she did this kind of like summer conference called Positive. And it was for women that were premenopausal, postmenopausal, and in the middle of it, right?
mm,
Because it's important for women of all ages, whether you're menopause or not, to know about it, because it's something that women typically don't tend to talk about, especially if it's a heavy subject culturally, depending on where you're from. But also because you are undergoing so many serious hormonal changes that, especially if you have a history of it, you're more likely to get cancer of any kind, and a lot of breast cancer is seen. There was this one woman who had survived. She had cancer 8 different times. She would go into remission, meaning cancer was gone, it would come back. Cancer was gone, it would come back. By the third or fourth bout with cancer, I believe, is when she decided to do a double mastectomy. And she had been putting out that fear, that stigma of what it would mean with her breasts. And there was no hope or potential for getting implants because it could potentially raise her risk of getting it again. And she got it again anyway. And 8 rounds, chemotherapy, and the whole thing. And she was a force to be reckoned with. And she was in her late 70s. She was at her makeup and her wigs, and she brought pictures of all of her wigs to give women kind of hope. And this happened as she was going into menopause. So it was this difficult time where you're accepting that your whole body has changed into like a new chapter of your life. And by the way, you have cancer. Que fuerte.
right. That's a freaking tough one. But wow,
Yeah.
she went through eight at one. What's her verdict? Where is she? What she's doing? What's going on? Tell me something, Jose.
After that, the last thing I knew, I did that seminar last, maybe almost 10 years ago. And then she had already been cancer free for about 5 years. And she was doing world tours, speaking to women, making sure that they were getting tested, making sure that, especially if they were going through menopause or perimenopausal, that they were taking proper precautions and doing any like possible hormone replacement therapy so to avoid this, and making sure that they knew their family history, because sometimes we don't pay attention to those things and they're important.
Anyone watching? Do you guys have your own stories? Anybody you guys look up to who has been, who have battle, who have survived, who's a warrior?
Yeah.
Just want to share. But that's awesome. You know
Yeah. I
that she was
remember.
able to go through all that and still, come on top.
Oh yeah. My friend Jenny, um, the day she turned 40, the day after she turned 40, she had already scheduled her first mammogram. Right? She was like, I'm gonna be diligent. I'm gonna go in and check it out. And the day after she turned 40, she went and she got tested, and they found a mass, but it was early enough that they were able to treat it, and she was able to be cancer free. But it was as she's coming into her own, the 40s, when it's supposed to be like the women's thing, it's a lot to go through, and having to, and there had to be a mastectomy. So it was like, it's those kinds of things that you have to think about. Listen, y'all, we are as positive as we can possibly be. But the reality is, life is not rainbows and butterflies all the time. And to pretend like good vibes only is a thing is horrendous, because you miss steps. Part of the journey is knowing it's not all rainbows and butterflies and persevering anyway. That is why the people that go through these things are freaking warriors and survivors, because they know will survive it, keeps other people going. That shit ain't easy. To pretend that you can energy it away, listen, Linda.
Yeah,
Ignorance is not bliss.
yeah, you were cutting off a
Mm-mm.
little bit here and there, but I was able to understand and hear everything you have to say. Well, I'm gonna go to 411 with Chubi. So, because I know you have
Do.
stats to share, and then we do have quote quotes as. So today, 411 with Chubi, this is what I have for 411 with Chubi. I have three organizations that are trying to end, they do research for to end or to find a cure, sorry, for breast cancer, or organizations that are trying to help people after, you know, their tough, journey with breast cancer. So the first one that I have is the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. Their mission is to prevent and cure breast cancer by advancing the world's most promising research. So they, find the most research that they can and see where it takes them from there. So hopefully someday, right? I don't know about you, but I always hear that there is the cure for cancer, but then there's no cure for cancer. And I'm like, one day I'm hoping to hear that there's an actual cure that the government do not want to make money off of and actually, distribute it and give it to people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The second one is Living Beyond Breast Cancer, which I love this one. It's an national nonprofit that connects people with trusted resources and community of support. So even after your breast cancer scare or your actual, journey you went through, you actually have an afterlife basically, and
Yeah.
it just doesn't end there. And that's why I like this company as well. And the next one is the one that me and Vanessa are doing, our walk with the Susan G. Komen
Komen.
Foundation. So we're going to talk about the walk again. It's the only organization that is addresses breast cancer on multiple fronts, such as research, community health, global outreach, and public policy initiatives in order to make the biggest impact against this disease. So I like them because they do multiple, which is good. It's not just a one. Let me do research and then that's
Yeah,
it.
they're also, it's research, it's management. They do a bunch of things. They were established in like 82, and they're
Yeah.
one of the highest donation grossing organizations for cancer research. That actually
Yes,
goes
and
to cancer research.
exactly. And it started because the founder, right, her sister passed away named Susan, and she said, I'm going to do everything in my power to find a cure for this or ways to cure it. So that's how it came. Like,
And they also
I
provide like
can't, I'm,
support groups and resources and things like that, which is great because yes, we want to find a cure, obviously. But on the way to a cure, there's people that are battling this. So they need resources, they need the support, they need the information. And the Susan G. Komen Foundation provides that, even as much as getting these women jobs that are
right.
flexible and understanding of their treatment schedules.
Exactly. That's why I like them too because there's multiple sources that's why they say that they're the only ones that are doing all these multiple things. Granted, we're not saying that the other companies are not good or bad. We're just saying that this one just provides a multitude all around
Hmm.
sources. And this is why we're also doing the walk on October 16th, for the breast cancer awareness. We're walking and, you know, I hope you guys will join us, the link is in our bio just to let you guys know. So you guys could go click on it and be a part of our team or just donate if you can. But this is all for 411 with Shubi. So I will be posting these links or whatever on our YouTube and our Instagram and Facebook. So that is all I have.
Thank you for one with you, babe. Now I'm gonna do my statty stats because that's a good thing to follow up. Um, to continue on the same vein about Susan G. Komen. So to remind you guys, we were just saying it, and it's all over our Instagram. It's on our page. It's on our, and if you follow us, our individual pages, we've been posting about it as well. On October 16th, the walk starts early, y'all, but it's okay. It's okay. Vamos a tener cafecito. So the registration is like 7 in the morning, and the walk starts at about 9:15. It doesn't take longer than an hour. It's outdoors. It'll be in person. Um, and there are different teams, and the different teams are to raise funds for research. So, and if you can't walk with us, you can also leave a donation, and it's greatly appreciated. Every little bit helps. The Susan G. Komen Foundation raises over $36 million a year, and this is from over 60 different marketing partnerships. So it's not solely through the walks. And in total, their general donation revenue is about $183 million.
And
Okay.
just to also add, whatever we raise, the money is going straight to them 100%. We're not keeping anything,
Oh
just
yeah,
to
no.
let you guys know. Just to
That
put it out
that
there, let you guys
yeah, when
know.
you guys go on the website, you're literally going onto the Susan G. Komen website, and the donations will go right to them. Have nothing to do with us. And uh, during that time, we'll also have some candy. We have breast cancer candy, right? Don't we?
Yes.
Okay. And percentage, like if you want some breast cancer candy, we'll post something on our Instagram. If you want to us along with your donation, also make a purchase of the candy. The candy is $2.
For that one is five because we also donating the percentage of cancer
That's right.
awareness.
Egg. So that percentage we will donate it. Uh, a part goes to like like the minimal to us, and then the other percentage we donate directly to the Susan G. Komen. So you can make the donation like that as well. So that being said, now I get into the study stats. Let's whip it out. Here are some stats. And this is the first one I wanted to share because we talked about it before, because we don't realize men are also susceptible to breast cancer. 10% of men are diagnosed with breast cancer and they have genetic links, which means if it is in your family history, it is in your family history, whether you're a man or a woman. So when you go to the doctors and they ask you for your family history, men do mention breast cancer. Less than 1% of all breast cancer diagnoses are for men. So, yes, it's less than 1%. I beg you, especially in times of like pandemics and stuff, do not guide yourself by percentage. 1% of billions of people is still millions of people. Okay? Thousands of people. Remember that. So, better to be safe than like ahead of the game rather than the game. 92% of breast cancer detected in men are considered to be hormone receptor positive, right? This is what Truby and I were talking about before. And I want to say this preemptively. This is not because we're both vegan or plant-based eaters. Because everybody likes to blame it on that. Because you guys no. The reality is that our food supply has changed drastically since the 1900s. Not just how it's packaged and maintained, right? The preservatives, but how it's grown, specifically animal-based products. The antibiotics and they're put into these animals, the things that the animals eat, right, are also being treated. We ingest this. We ingest all of this, and it affects our body. Food is not what it used to be. So we've seen all kinds, including breast cancer, because of dietary reasons. Ingesting red meat not only raises your possibilities for cardiac issues or disease, but also for cancer. So keep this in mind. It doesn't mean if you want to eat meat, knock yourself out. Okay? Don't eat it every day. That is what they're finding leads to these higher risk of cancers, of cardiac diseases. The actual number is 1 out of 1,000 will could potentially get breast cancer, but 1 in 8 women will develop breast cancer over the course of their life. And that's in the US.
Yeah, that's not
Okay, that
worldwide.
is great. I do want y'all to know that numbers for breast cancer are lower in other parts of the world. Why? Their food is more, uh, they pay attention to
Natural.
what the hell they're putting in their bodies. Yeah, there are laws that you cannot have certain chemicals to preserve or treat foods. That does not exist in the United States of America because they want to make a buck. And in order for that to happen, they have to be able to produce because of supply and demand. So, breast cancer and related cancers are much higher in the US than in other countries. So, 85% breast cancer diagnosis occurring with no prior family history. 85% no family history. What would lead somebody with no family history to get cancer? Okay, it would be, we talked about the food, but also let's think about all the measures that we take to not get pregnant. It fucks up hormones.
Yeah, the chemicals. Yeah, exactly.
It messes with your hormones. Now, I'm about I take the depot shot myself, but and yes, that messes with my hormones. I'm well aware of this. But it's this is why you have to consistently check your hormone levels and get the mammograms and things, because we are putting different things into our bodies now. And it's affecting the one thing, okay, it'll stop me from getting pregnant. We are so wrong. If
Just
you're
like
no longer
medicine
getting
and
your period,
right,
no, no, no,
all the
go ahead.
medication you ingest, and if you take medication daily because you have to, or whatever the case is, that also messes with everything too. I am a big believer of holistic ways, but I am not taking a goddamn pill. If I have a headache, maybe I'm hungry, maybe I'm tired, maybe I need some
Yeah,
water.
right.
You know, don't
There's
just for
multiple
me.
ways. And like I'm all about it. Like if you need medicine, take medicine. Like if it gets down to it. But if you have other options before that, try it. Your body appreciates it. It's able to heal faster. The more that your body, I remind y'all, my mom is a doctor. um, the more that your body can learn to fend for itself and create the ability to fight off things, the better off you are. That's why instead of taking an antacid, take the apple cider vinegar or whatever potential natural way to combat it, because your esophagus becomes lazy and then your reflux becomes worse. Things that they don't really tell you, because the easiest thing is buy the pill, everybody's making money, your reflux gets better, but then on the need for that pill to stop your reflux for the rest of your life. So be like be a part of your healing, be a part of your health, right? Don't, and I'm not saying don't trust doctors, but medicine is also not what it used to be. They have to answer to different people. And doctors and nurses have the best of intentions, a lot of them. But it's also good to know what the hell is happening, right? Trust,
Exactly.
but
Yep.
also read your shit and get second opinions, because every doctor has a different approach. Reading is, thank you, perfect. I do trust doctors, but I also trust myself and my intuition and opinions. You know, um, I've seen what doing that can what effect it can have. My friend was almost she almost had a double mastectomy, and when she went to get a second opinion, they said that there was no need, that the majority of the other tumors were absolutely benign and removing them would prevent any future possibility of them becoming malignant. She would have lost both her breasts, and she was going through so much emotional distress because of it. And it was just because the other doctor could not be bothered.
Am I wrong? Didn't you tell me that your mom healed herself with some holisticness type ways
Yeah,
of
my mom had
something?
a very different, like, part of her breast tissue was affected in her underarms as well, because she had non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which is a form of cancer that affects the lymphatic system. She did a macrobiotic diet, which affects significantly what you ingest to make sure that you are putting only the best things in your body. Uh, but also, she did this particular vitamin C treatment that really, really helped. Um, and my mother has been in remission for over 10 years now, 12 years. So, and every body, literally body, is different, right? So what might work for one may not work for everyone, but that is why you have to be a participant in your medical journey
Right. Know about
if
your
you get
body.
diagnosed with something. Yeah. It's not just put your hands and everything. Be a part of the conversation. Learn about it. Because when you leave a hospital and you have to go home and take care of yourself, it's not over. You have to maintain now the healed process,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Or recover. So that's important as well.
Yeah.
But it's important for women to think of these things, because it's not just diet. We do put things in our bodies. Like, and specifically now with everything going on in Texas, I don't
Oh,
know
okay.
who is pro-choice, who is pro-life,
Life.
pro whatever. The fact is, if you are a woman and things are happening to your body, be on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing about that whole thing in Texas that bothers me is men don't have to worry about getting those shots.
Nope.
They can get snipped and reverse it, okay, and have babies if they want to. Women can't do that, but we can take these birth control methods, but then that affects our hormones, which makes us potentially more susceptible to other things.
And
So it's
another
just like,
thing. men can go get a vasectomy, is it called, without anybody say, but women can.
Right,
They could just go,
right.
walk in and get it. Oh, did your wife know that? No, no reason to ask. How is that even? Anyway,
Yeah. It's important that you do your research because, for example, I found out the hard way that women in my family can't take birth control because it causes severe blood clots. And the first time I tried, I got blood clots in my legs
I,
because I didn't do my research.
yeah,
Right. And once I did, and I talked to doctors, I found out that Depo shot would work for me, but still something that you have to look into. And it is a choice of
hmm,
yours what you do with that. 93% of women with early breast cancer diagnosis survive beyond 5 years. That's 93% survival rate beyond 5 years with early detection. I cannot stress enough how important early detection is. It's uncomfortable. The mammograms suck and they hurt and they squish your boobs and it's mentally draining. My cousin just went through it, uh, and she's a badass. But it was because it was early detection that she was able to do something about it. She would have waited any longer, it could have spread to other parts of her body.
that's the thing with my mom. She got it early diagnosed. You know, she died at 50. She got it early diagnosed. Um, then 3 years later, they claim a cell or something like a mist or something, and it spread out over her body. But the weird thing is that she thought it was acid
Oh,
reflux, so she was feeling like el pain ese, and she just went to the doctors and she was taking medication thinking it was the acid reflux, and it ended up just being the rest of the cancer. 3 years later, and
oh wow.
it spread everywhere. They couldn't do anything anymore. But she did detect it, but they claim that they missed a little piece or something, which because they had it removed and everything. But I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was
What
just weird.
sadly what happens, and here's the thing, and doctors try to contain it as much as possible. This is why early detection is important because we they can't detect what tissue entirely gets affected or was already touched. And sometimes upon opening a patient up, um, the cancer can spread. It can right. So they do the best they can, and for the most part, they're very successful. And then in other cases, some cells are left behind. That's why you go back for multiple checks after your surgeries to make sure that it hasn't continued to spread or grow or become malignant.
Yeah, she went through her
Um,
to her stuff
it's
too.
important to do those follow-ups.
Yeah, she did her follow ups,
Yeah,
but they say they didn't
they're,
find
they're fucking
anything. And
closer.
no, it's all. I mean, it's not okay, but there's nothing much we can do. I
It's
mean,
so it's yeah, it's really, this is why cancer is a motherfucker.
yeah.
Cancer is a motherfucker because you think you got the sucker, and it does other things. Body is a crazy place. Here we go. This year, and this is from the University of Utah, 232,670 new cases of breast cancer will be diagnosed in women. 30% of cancers that women have,
Oh,
30% of it is breast cancer.
oh,
And in
breast.
Utah
Okay.
specifically, it is the most common type of breast cancer. 85% diagnoses occur in women, and I already said this, with no family history. So I repeat, even if you don't have a history, check. More than 2.8 million people live in the US. Okay, 2.8 million people that live in the US are breast cancer survivors. Please note that they said people, because amongst those 2.8 million, some of those survivors are men.
Men.
Act Now breast cancer education and screening can save up to 37 lives every day in the US. According to the World Health Organization, which is kind of shady, but uh, by screening your test, you can prevent or have early detection. However, breast cancer's mortality rate has been declining steadily since 1989 due to early detection and improved treatment. Okay, and those treatments, for the most part, and kudos doctors, do not have to do with chemo necessarily. There are other options. If that is your only option and you want to do it, do it. It's your prerogative, it is your body. But if you want to have other options, do look for other options. Chemo is not the only solution. Um, and there's
Yeah.
also that fear and the stigma behind the mastectomies or the lumpectomies, where you just remove a part of the breast versus removing the whole breast. Angelina Jolie decided, because it was in her history and she had already had some lumps discovered, to she was like, I don't want to put myself or my children through that. I'd rather just do this now and avoid ever getting sick. Um, that's not everybody's journey. That would not be my solution personally. And I say that vanidosamente. Like, it would not be mine. My mom always said when she was sick, she was like, if it really affects my breast, I'm not chopping them off. Don't even ask. Right? That was her prerogative. She was, I will, but I will get better. Right? And she fought it every other way that she could. So there's those things. This I did want to share as well. The American Cancer Society does not recommend self breast exams or clinical breast exams. It's not saying don't do it. You can, but they are not the most like accurate ways of just knowing. Meaning, and the clinical breast exams is that the doctor goes and they do it, and they're like, oh, I think there's a lump there. Okay, get an actual mammogram. Um, this is why. The information about self exams or clinical exams is not widely publicized because it is only on their website, which most people are not looking at, obviously. The ACS, the American Cancer Society, states that people who have regular mammograms are more likely to find breast cancer earlier. However, they do not recommend mammograms until you turn 40 and annual mammograms until you turn 45. So after you turn 45, make it annual. Before then, make it more frequent. If you have cancer in your family history, if you take any sort of hormonal balancing or hormonal therapy or birth control, feel free to test yourself earlier because of the hormones.
Yeah.
This leaves people below age 40 without guidance, right? We want receipts in a movement that demands true change around breast health in the young adult population. We want to be heard, and we want action to include guidelines that include self breast exam people under 40 and experience a young breast cancer survivor for early detection and prevention. And what this particular organization is asking for, this is the BRCA Strong. Um, you can find them on Instagram. What we want is for the American Cancer Society to be more like proactive about getting the information out there, because there are women under 40 and men under 40 that are getting breast cancer because they're waiting till they're 40 to test. So early detection becomes less plausible. And that's it for me on the stats. Heavy stuff, though.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but we gotta be honest and we gotta bring more awareness than it's already out there because we have to. But you were just reminding me how on our previous episodes we've mentioned food like as the main source of ruining your body. But it's true though. I'm not sure about you, but I know kids who are bigger and older looking than I am, and they're like only 15. You know,
Claro, because of all the hormones in the food.
it's like, what the
And
hell are you
so much of
guys
our food is
eating?
genetically modified.
And we grew up in the island, so for me, I grew up all the way until the age of 12 there. So the food intake there is not the same here. And I was a small 12-year-old. I was a regular 12-year-old at the time, in the early
But
90s,
also, what are you buying in your market? You're buying locally grown food.
Exactly. I mean, we had it in our backyard, so it's not like I'm complaining. Pero,
There you go.
and then cultural shock as well. When I came here, I wanted a banana or something. They're like, you have to go to a store an hour away to go buy something, and you're like, what the hell am I
And
buying?
then
What
those
is in
massive
it?
ass bananas.
And you don't know what is in it, and you're right. And I think of that, and obviously we are not vegans just because, oh, um I don't want to buy whatever's in the sheet. No, it's just one, health wise, because lactose intolerant, allergic to citrus, lime, and other shit, and you need to take care of yourself. So
Yeah. I mean, it's a total
food
plus for
is
me that it helps animals. It helps the
that
planet at
too, that
large
too,
because
exactly.
of deforestation, etc. But personally, the main reason that I went vegan was my kidneys don't assimilate proteins the same. They spill it back into my body and make me feel horrifically sick if I eat it in high quantities.
Right.
Once in a blue moon, I will indulge more with fish than other things. But the fact is, a friend, vegan a day is long, okay? Super vegan. She comes back from vacation in Argentina with her family, and she's got these pictures eating tremendo steak, huge steak. I'm like, um, I mean, you live your best life, boo boo, but I thought you were vegan. I'm confused. She goes, it's one thing to eat meat in the United States of America. It's a different thing to eat a cow from my uncle's farm,
That's true, and I could attest to that because I
right?
don't eat cow. I never eat cow, but I get it.
Because of the growth process, but also like it's also very different. For example, in indigenous cultures, because of their relationship to the animal. It's not just I'm going to kill you because I need to make a buck. And yes, we need to eat, stay alive, but then they feed families this. But they make use of the entire animal, and it is an exchange and an appreciation. It's not just you're here to serve me, animal, right? So
Right.
there's different ways of approaching it, but there is a very big difference in how those animals are raised and what's put into them, what they eat that then is ingested versus the you know mills of animals being pumped with heavy hormones to make them bigger and badder so that they can get the most out of them.
Faster. Man, this is such a great little snippet of what we're gonna be talking about in our future episode. Yes, we're gonna
Oh
have
yeah.
a vegan day. We're gonna have an episode about it. But
Prepárense.
like you said, that's the only reason why certain foods I can't eat certain foods is because health wise. But it does benefit the animals, and I'm grateful for that and happy. But I will not go back. I mean, I stopped eating meat since I was like 12ish maybe. So it's not like it's been in my system, but I just can't. It doesn't taste good, and my taste bud says no. I can't. I just can't.
I have moments, for the most part, especially if I'm home, I'm as vegan as they come. There are times, especially if I'm like on vacation or whatever, that I won't like be super strict on myself, but my body will feel the repercussions of it. Like I will feel not so great. You know what I mean? So I try to stick to it as much as possible, if not completely vegan, vegetarian, you know. But I'm not going to deny myself, but I also recognize the effects it has on my body. So by
No, yeah,
preference,
I'm an intuitive, so I listen to my body too. Like if my body's craving this pedacito de pollito right here, feed it because if not, it's just gonna
it
get
always
worse for
happens
your
to me when I
body.
have my period that I'm like, I
Right. I just eat chatarra whenever, but yeah, because your body's asking, just feed it and it's gonna just simmer down. It's gonna calm down and it's gonna feel better, quote unquote. Pero sometimes it's just awful. It feels awful.
know what those choices affect in your body.
Right, exactly that too.
I think cancer of any kind is difficult, not just for the survivor, the battler. It's difficult for the families, right? Because you have to see somebody that you see differently, with a different kind of energy, usually in a very different state. Chemotherapy is devastating for some people, right? It takes a lot of strength of character and strength of heart. So my salute and my appreciation and love to every person who's ever battled any kind of cancer. You are badasses. And on the 16th of October, we walk for you. And
We
before I start
walk,
crying,
we walk. We're gonna walk proud.
we're very proud that the first event that No Filters, No Fears is going to be a part of, and that we get to potentially walk and join forces with our fearless fam, is something that celebrates those souls that have fought hard and either survived or are continuing to fight. And even though they don't make it, they do it so that the next person that just started the battle does not lose hope. So I'm really happy and proud that we're doing this, and I hope it gives a little hope to somebody out there.
Yes, I'm very excited to do the walk for my mom, my aunts, and my sister, and everybody, my friends. So we're not crying.
No, we're not. I was about to start, so I was like, I'm gonna look away. I'm gonna look away. So we're like an hour in, so I'm gonna go and zoom a doom doom through the quotey quotes. And now, quotey quotes. Thank you, Brian, as always. So the first quote is, "What matters most is how you walk through fire." Unknown. It is. It is. It is not hard. Let me. It is not easy. Is what I meant to say. I want to say something because one of the things that hurt my friend Jenny the most was that here she is. She just received the hardest news of her life, just as she's entered 40s, and everybody is devastated for themselves and crying and making it about them and their loss and their worry and their fear of potentially losing her, who is the one who has to do the battle. You are in all your right to feel sad that somebody that you love is going through it. But you are there as a support because they're the ones who have to go through it. They're the ones who feel the pain. They're the ones who lose the appetite. All that shit is them. They don't need other people crying. Because they go home, they're probably crying themselves. But also for those fighting it, there are going to be the bad days. Allow yourself the bad day. Don't feel you have to be the positive Priscilla all the time. Okay? Let it out of your system. But allow yourself to get the fuck up. Sorry, YouTube. Allow yourself to get the fuck and fight, because it is how you get through the fire, right? That's what counts. Because on the other side of it, you're like, I did that. I did that. And that confidence helps you so much. I saw it in my mom. I see it in my cousins and my aunt's best friend who just recently had to have like 5 different surgeries. So, and of course, we have to have Brené Brown. Courage. The original definition of courage, when it first came into the English language, is from Latin, where it is for the Latin word for cor, meaning heart. And the original definition was to tell your story of who you are with your whole heart. Brené Brown. I think it's so indicative of the walk that we're doing. So many women share their stories and show up, right, to the walk, to lend their support and to be the face of why people do the walks. So it takes a lot of heart, a lot of courage. Uh, you're allowed to scream, you're allowed to cry, but do not give up. Unknown. We talk about this frequently
Absolutely.
on the show, about how mental connects so much to our body.
Yeah.
Depression, anxiety, these things affect our, and little by little start affecting our organs, start affecting our physical health, right? So yes, cry, let it out. You hold that in, trying to be strong for your family so that they don't fall apart. Your body is now working overtime and it's already trying to fight a freaking disease. If they can't see you cry, they can walk outside. But
That's why
yeah,
That's why I
And
think
I'm
it's
sorry.
healthy to cry, to let it out, scream. You're angry, you're angry. Just do it. Just let
Sorry.
it all
Yeah.
out.
Beat a
It's
pillow.
healthy.
You have a right to be fucking angry. Your body
Scream,
betrayed you
whatever.
for a minute. Your body betrayed you. And now you're taking back your power, and that takes work. So if you don't allow yourself those moments to really like give into your feelings and deal with it, you're giving yourself mental and physical, like extra mental and physical work.
Yeah.
You already got the cancer thing going on. You don't need the rest. Um, is this, are you a quote, a quote? Yes. It takes courage to say yes to rest and play in a culture where exhaustion is seen as a status symbol. Brene Brown. So we hear that a lot more lately, and I'm so glad that people say take your time, give yourself that break. You can have your good days. People used to give my mom so much crap. Oh, Carmen must not really be sick because she just helped Fulanita move and she did this. They don't know what she looked like the next day. They weren't there
Right.
the weeks that my mom needed help to get dressed or to bathe, right? And the days that she felt good, she's not going to let the bad days take the good day away from her, right? And sometimes we overdo it ourselves, like when we feel good. But when you need to rest, rest, coño. Don't let
That's
anybody else tell you that you have to.
that's the same thing with chronic illness. We have good days and we have bad days. And then we rest as much, goes 3 days sleeping or laying down doing nothing, but you have to. Brian says rest is best. Yes, indeed it is.
1,050%. And this is the last quotey quote. And this one might make me cry. But this is a reminder to all of us that are the support system for those who are battling. This is what they need. And this is from a cancer warrior on Instagram. I need some people in my life to help me live, not watch me die. If you are already mourning what you might lose because cancer has affected a loved one, you are already putting that into the listen. They already
Yes.
know what could potentially happen. You know what they were like at the pre-cancer stage, right? Help them remember that. Help them remember what they're fighting for, right? Don't add
Right.
to the stress.
Yeah, be there. They need to talk to ask, hey, do you need if you need to talk, I'm here for you. You know, if you want to go on a walk, I'm here for you. If you need to scream, let it out, vent something. Just be there for that person, and
Mhm.
without putting yourself like it's your your
And it's
center, like it's them,
and it's totally understandable. It's hard for the people outside of it as well because it is
Right,
someone
right.
you love. So you're allowed to have your moment. Find your support system outside of them, right?
Exactly.
It's like, and here's how I say everything is connected. Well, not just me. We say this every damn episode. Everything
Yeah.
is connected, right? Every movement that has ever existed. No, do not go ask the black person. So what can I do? You don't put more stress on them, right? You want to educate yourself, educate your damn self. There are things you can ask, but don't make it their responsibility to teach you
To,
something
to
that it should be your initiative to learn if you've seen it
exactly.
consistently being done. And the same thing applies in an illness. And that goes for people with chronic illness, right? Your support system can't always be like boo-hooing over you, right? They've also got like, and if they have their boo, go read more about it so that way you feel safe. But don't ask them to give you more information on what the doctors say and how they say it and what does that mean. They just left the damn hospital listening to it. Give them a minute. Everything is connected. Everything is the same. When we have a significant stressor in our life, the last thing we do need is to repeat it. Repetition makes it a part of the reality, makes it a part of the muscle memory, right? We bring it in, assimilate, solution. But the more we have to dwell on it and repeat and see somebody cry, coño, eso afecta. For
Right,
some,
exactly. It is a lot of stress, you know. But just be there. At the end of the day, just be there for them for whatever they need. A friend, a walk, just a company, even just being quiet in the same room, watching their favorite program, anything, you know. And like Vanessa said, read, learn more about it, and try your own way to be helpful to them instead of and like Vanessa also said, mourning them before they're gone. You just, I feel like you just wasted all that time
that
instead of
you two
trying to
have.
make memories, you know.
And also be respectful of how people choose to heal.
Yes.
Advice and recommendations are lovely, but not sure how you give that advice, because everybody chooses to heal their own way. Some people want chemotherapy, some people change their diet. Whatever the case may be, respect it, support it. If you found a different or potentially better way, share it with them, but don't impose it.
Right.
It's still their body, it's still their choice. And when you feel like, I don't, how do you feel like, when, if has anybody like beat you over the head with like, oh, you have this chronic pain issue, you should do this and you should do that and you should be doing it, does that make you, it wears you down more, you feel more tired because now you've
Ye-
spent spoons on this shit.
exactly. And then they're like, "Oh, have you tried this?" No shit. You don't think after for so many years, you don't think I've tried everything by now? Thank you for your suggestion. I know you were trying to be nice, but it's actually more like not being helpful. At least to me personally, it's not. I've tried it for so
Right,
many years, so many different things. But yeah.
right. So I think it's important to also be respectful of people's choice of how they heal, and if what they choose to heal isn't necessarily that illness, but where they are in their mental state, their connections to people, and healing those things, and it makes the quality of their life better than the quantity of it. Meaning, if they have a certain amount of time, they know they have months, years.
Right.
My mom had a patient. My mom, towards the end of her career, because my mom retired, worked with a lot of terminally ill patients, specifically cancer patients. And the most important thing was their quality of life versus the quantity of it. This one gentleman, Tony, I remember him fondly. Um, he was given like 3 months to live. I think it was a couple of months to live. Pancreatic cancer, if I'm not mistaken. He ended up living an extra 2 years, and in that 2 years, he was able to put together his relationship with his daughter, who had been estranged from him for like 13 years or something crazy like that.
Wow.
He was able to reconnect with that. He was able to be more romantic with his wife, that they had kind of lost touch like that. And when he passed away in a room full of love and forgiveness. And he was able to forgive himself and let go, and he did not suffer as much as he could have. And he had 2 more extra years of life because he let go of so many things that were just adding to that, right? And
Yeah.
everybody's story is different. Some people may have just those 3 months, but it's what you do with those 3 months. And if you have somebody beating you over the head with a specific treatment, you're missing the opportunity to do what you can.
Right. I mean, I'm taking a few because it is tough, you know, especially when we both you and I have been through so much with dealing with all these type of cancers and you know family changes. You know, it does changes you as well as a person. You know, and it does make you rethink of what you do intake, you know, your body. Like me, like I believe, like for example, my chronic pain, I take topical instead of ingesting it because I do not believe in ingesting medication. I don't, you know, but that's my choice, you know, and some people do, and that's fine, that's their choice. But it does make you rethink and reframe all everything of your everyday life and what the hell you do with it, you know, more exercise, you know, more water, and yeah, just everything.
Absolutely.
You saw what?
For, no, absolutely. I was agreeing with
Oh,
you.
absolutely, yeah.
For me, final thought is just that my cats are going through it. My final thought is test test early, know your family history, know that even if it's not in your family history, to check. Men and women alike, be respectful of how people choose to heal. Be cognizant that it is them that has to battle and you're the support. So be
Right.
mindful of how you kind of like release your emotions. Of course, you're going to cry. Of course, it sucks. But don't be like, oh, what am I going to do? Because this person still has a journey ahead of them. And if
Right.
you really love them, then you'll be a part of that journey, not a part of the problem, right? Um, and also, final thought, please join us if you can for the walk. Walk for somebody you know, walk for somebody that you don't know, you know. So that's it from me.
For me, is just be mindful. Just to add on to what you said, because beautiful. I'm not gonna repeat myself. She said everything, but add to that, just be mindful of what you also intake into your body. Read, read more about whatever the issue is, whatever you need to know about what's going on with the other person. But learn about yourself too. And we say this a lot too. Learn about yourself, how you deal with medication. Just like me, like I told you guys, I do not deal with well with medication. My body goes into a high, crazy. So learn about yourself and know what your body's capable of actually intaking or not. And just again, be mindful of how you are towards the other person that's actually the one dealing with it, like Vanessa said. So being is essential, and we always say it. So, and like Vanessa said, also join us October 16th if you can physically. If not, donations. If not, just share the link. It's fine as well. It doesn't matter.
Please do share. Please do share, even if you can or can't make a donation or can or cannot join us. We'll be posting some of the candy if you want to get that as a way of donating to both No Filters and this was in G. Komen Foundation. If you have any questions, slide up into the DMs and be like, hey, I have a question.
Yeah, that's it. And like we always say, stay fearless, everyone.
Stay fearless, fam.